Hope you enjoyed that hype little clip there between Daigo Umehara and Joseph, the UK legend. The legend before legends were born, before any Ryan Hart or any other top UK player ever arrived, right? This guy was dominating games way, way, way back. Before we had sick console conversions, internet, PC play, and online gameplay, this guy was battering people day in, day out at the arcades. His name is Joseph, aka Zazza, and he was a top player on Virtua Fighter. He was the Super Turbo champion. You know, no one could beat this guy. I mean, he won the International Super Turbo tournament in 1994. How old are you guys watching? This guy was winning tournaments in 1994. That was the first tournament that I ever went to. And I didn't know what I was in for because all of my community, we came from Croydon, you know, south, and we had a very small number of people, and we were just, you know, a few humble players that were very passionate, but we got demolished. You know, and in Croydon, I was just an average player at that time. I wasn't a top player. I knew nothing about frame data or tier lists. We just played from passion and we loved, you know, getting together and doing combos and stuff. But we didn't know the levels. We had no idea of how deep this game actually was. You know, Super Turbo was the game to play. That was what everybody was playing, you know. And every now and again in our community, some top player would come down and batter all of us. 30, 40, 50 win streaks. You know, we couldn't top this guy. And I would watch the guys that I could never beat. There were some guys I could never beat. And I would watch those guys unable to beat the guy that had come down from central London or some other district. And it was just insane. Like, wow, you know, we are so far behind as a little community, and I'm so far behind in my own personal journey. So when I went to central London and heard about this guy called Joseph, it really blew me away when I finally got to watch him play. You know, because it was insane. You know, this guy was just a robot. It was something you'd never experienced before. You didn't really know what you were seeing at the time, you know? And there were players there from, you know, from China, there were players there from all over Europe, there were players there from America, players from Japan were there. And this guy Joseph, you know, from the UK battered everybody. Do you know what I mean? And I think Shin from Japan came second with Boxer, you know. But yeah, it was absolutely incredible. A moment, a memory I will never ever forget. It was the first tournament I ever went to. I think it may have even been the very first tournament for Super Turbo, you know, at least in the UK or in Europe, or maybe even in the West. I'm not sure there. But yeah, it was crazy, crazy, crazy time. And I'm here to open the door of introduction to the one and only Joseph, because this guy, if I have one, is my inspiration for how I decided to elevate my own game in the fighting game space. This was the guy who was, like I said, winning on Virtua Fighter, the Tekken 2 national champion, the Super Turbo national. Like, this guy was just winning on whatever he touched. Everything he touched turned to gold, you know? And because this is before the age of the internet, I want to open up his story. I want to share his story with you guys because no one talks about this guy. You know, people only talk about the people they see today, but what about the old guys who were really good back then? What about the guys who were legends before legends were made? Do you see what I'm saying? Just because there was no internet back then, it doesn't mean this guy doesn't deserve some limelight. You know, and I was very inspired by the way he approached games, by his success rate, by the way he was able to just adapt his brain into whatever he wanted to. You know, he was really good at Soul Calibur with Cervantes as well. I remember he mashed me up later on when we became friends. You know, he just knew what to do. We'd go to trade shows where they have like demo builds of games, and he'd already be crafting tactics for on the full release what he was going to do. You know, he'd be like, when this game comes out, I'm maining that guy and I'm doing this. You know, he'd know. And this takes a creative mind to be able to put that together. So yeah, I want to show you guys the grand final between none other than Joseph, who I had never seen in any kind of stress or trouble, versus Daigo Umehara from Japan, who I'd also never seen in trouble. And these two titans lock horns in the grand finals in 2004. 10 years later, 10 years after that first experience where I met Joseph and he won the International Super Turbo tournament. It's been a decade. By this time, I was already an established player. You know, I was a Tekken champion, I was a Virtua Fighter champion, I was a KOF champion, I was a Street Fighter champion. You know, I'd already made my own journey. But 10 years later, Daigo made his way to the UK, and Daigo had just come off the back of winning Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and I think I don't know if he won. I think he didn't win CVS 2, but I'm not sure if he won Alpha 3. I can't remember now if he came second or something. But he was making moves. And now it was time for the grand finals of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and it was Joseph waiting in Daigo's path in between him and the trophy. And this is one of the most epic showdowns that we had at that event, maybe the most epic showdown. So I want to share that with you, the unseen footage. You know what I'm saying? I had to go down into the deepest, darkest depths of the FGC archives. I had to hook up with my man Sam Tarley and ask him, can you get me some of these documents? Because like I don't know where to get this content from. You know what I'm saying? He went into the library, into the Citadel, and he pulled out, dusted off the files. And I'm going to share those with you today. So without any further ado, let's get into it. It's going to be Joseph from the UK versus Daigo Umehara from Japan. Let's go.
Zazza, man. Zazza! Yeah. You're warmed up, man. You can do it.
Come on, go there.
My Tiger.
Sega, your character, main character. Ryu versus Sega. You're gonna change?
Replay, start again. Start again. Use the high tiger. It was close, you can't say exactly. You're not fucking 90. Joe, man. I was going to win. So did we. And I don't know how. You still fucked him up in a certain way. Then tell him I know you right, you off. Yeah, but even more.
Well, there you have it. 3-2. Daigo takes the trophy, but it wasn't easy. Definitely wasn't. Sagat looks like an uphill battle for Ryu, as does Boxer for Sagat. I'm not sure how you score that exactly. It was really close. The counter pick came into play and got the W on the day for Mr. Umehara, so shout outs to him. But shout outs to both players. What an epic set that was, all the way down to the wire. The last final game, final round, and it was what a great outcome. It was really, really cool. So as I knew I'd be making this video, I talked to Daigo about this match, you know, and it had been so long. I sent him the footage so he could rewatch it again, and he watched everything, and we had a little, you know, text conversation about it all. And yeah, he says yeah, I watched it, and I asked him, you know, what was his Sagat like compared to Japanese Sagats, you know, that you play at home? And he said, actually, when I compared them, there wasn't much difference between Joseph's Sagat and the Sagats I play, you know, at home. He says the only thing though is that because Sagat is a banned character in a lot of the tournaments there, he felt it was a match that he wasn't particularly good at. So, which says a lot because, you know, he did really well. But yeah, so, you know, that was what he said. And then he says the first time he met me was at EVO 2003, not actually at Absolute. So yeah, I think we in agreement there. But yeah, very interesting. So, you know, somehow Joseph had managed to adopt a very Japan-like playstyle with Sagat, even though he'd never traveled outside of the UK before. So that says a lot about how far he'd come by himself in his progress. So yeah, shout outs to Joseph for that. Hope you all enjoyed that amazing video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment underneath so I can read you all. It'd be great to hear from you. If you want to see anything more from any other games, let me know, and if I've got some content around it, I'll do something. But yes, thank you so much for tuning in. Happy New Year! Of course, 2021, we have arrived. To you all watching, thank you so much for tuning in. And yes, now you know, Joseph, the first ever UK FGC legend of the scene. He is forever to be remembered. Of course, as I mentioned, one of my mentors, one of my rivals on my journey on the way up, you know, and I'm really appreciative of him. And that's why I wanted to tell his story today. It means a lot to me to share this, so I'm glad you guys can all be on board for the journey. Thank you guys once more, and have a great week. I'll see you next time.